beginning to get on my nerves. Who are those guys?
Hey everyone, welcome back. This is now episode 6 of our review rewatch of episode 2 of The Wheel of Time, joined here with Pips and Alex and Hannah, as we were in the last episode. If you made it this far, you probably watched the last episode too, so I don't think we need to get into too many introductions. Again, good advice if you want to watch us, especially this one, because we are getting pretty hammered. Turn up the speed to 1.25 or 1.5, or heck, maybe even 2 times the regular speed, and will sound more legible. That being said, we are now in the middle of Shadar Logoth, and we're going to try and make it to the end of this particular episode here and give all of our unfiltered drunk thoughts. So, with that, Alex, do we want to get started?
Yeah, let's get going. So I don't even actually need to press play to come to my first issue with this.
Is
So
this where Padan Fain's supposedly whistling?
yes, this is where Padan Fain is whistling.
Was that established prior to this scene that he whistled?
The only thing that I can think he might have been whistling on was his Gandalf wagon ride into town, but that is such like a
when he was watching the attack on Winter Night, he was whistling.
Okay, so he was whistling during that. I thought he was like eating an apple.
Did you hear it? Was there audible whistling?
Man, it might have just been in the subtext. I'm sure that it was probably audible, aided by the captions.
His mind is writing a better story for him. God
We
bless
all
you.
agree this is stupid then, right?
Hear, hear.
Yes, and it's especially stupid because when you listen to it, it is impossible to differentiate the whistling from the sort of like weird soundtrack they have going here. So anybody that's saying like, "Oh, it makes sense. We know that Padan Fain is pursuing them based on that whistling," is just full of shit.
Also, let's be honest,
it's Matt's turn.
Padan Fain doesn't go into the city looking for them, right? He has nothing to do with them finding the dagger and everything else. I think he does get driven. He does get driven by the murderall, but I don't think that he does this
go
like
into the city.
Yeah, but he doesn't like follow them in and like lead them to the dagger. He has no connection to the dagger until he steals it in Valdara.
Well, no, he encounters more death after Matt, Rand, and Perrin do. And something happens to him, and he's the one that sets Mordeth free. That's established, and then he only feels kind of whole until he gets the dagger in Fires of Heaven, or maybe it's even in Lord of Chaos. I'll have to double check. Anyways, we can keep going. Horses neighing in the distance. We got some horse issues coming up, so
I just like how it's like a freaking kindergarten class. Like, okay, Matt, now it's time for your turn to come to the front of the class and do something. Thank God this dagger is 45 seconds away from where you guys were camped out.
Listen, my contract says I get this much screen time, okay? Gotta give me something.
I think we're only seeing 4 horses there at all. They're all on the left side of the doorway.
If he goes into
three black, 1 white.
Is it the same building?
No,
it's the building next door.
Oh my god.
Well, if he turns right, it's the same building. So this actually looks like he's about to go into the same building, just a different entry. He's going in at the floor level.
He's going into the basement.
He did go into the same building.
Same building, okay.
I'll give them that. I think the scene from the books here would have been very difficult to adapt, but man, they still did a really shitty job.
Done something.
Yeah, this was not acceptable, and I love the lack of dust.
Like, what if we showed he was kind of smart and he like had a handkerchief and he grabbed it with the handkerchief, you know, just like to show he's not a complete moron.
Well, is it? I
Wiped
mean,
off
is
the
it? Isn't
dust
that?
'cause
Isn't that the
it's
point of
Can,
this show?
can I just point out this dagger doesn't have a ruby in the pommel. It has it in the hilt.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why would the design change? Why would you have one ruby that goes through a dagger? Like, no one builds a dagger like that right through the critical juncture of the blade. Like, so that is it two rubies, one on either side, and light's able to pass through it? Like, anyways, no one
I will
designs a
say
knife
this
like
is somebody told them that there's a ruby hilted dagger, which is what it's commonly described it as in the sort of fandom, right? It's the ruby hilted dagger. But you're right. It's a dagger it's a ruby the size of a robin's egg on the very end of the pommel, right?
Yep.
And it's just that somebody told them, "Oh, costume design people make a ruby hilted dagger," and they were like, "Cool, ruby hilted dagger. Here you go." You're 100% right. Where is the tang for that blade? Like, that blade would snap off so easily.
Clearly not a Layla creation.
Or maybe it is.
Well, but
Right.
it goes beyond that, right? It's the ruby dagger, it's the Heron Mark sword, it's the fact that Tom Maryland doesn't have a harp or a flute, but has a fucking guitar, as we'll see in later episodes. Like, every single minor design choice, they went in a different direction, and it seems on purpose. And all I can think of at this point is that they did it on purpose in order to shit in Robert Jordan's mouth. That's all.
Gotta be dark and edgy so the kids will like it.
God. Okay, so here we get some horses dying. This is probably Cloud, because that's the one horse that definitely ate it. But again, there's 4 horses to the left side of the front door here. So here's where all the CGI budget went. Horse turning to ash. Creepy as shit, but that's not how Mashdar works, but whatever.
So, like, does Mashdar like hunt all living things such that it should be trying to eat the horses in this show? Because like,
No,
there's 4
Mashadar is
horses to the left.
mindless. Mashadar is mindless. It doesn't go anywhere, but what it actually touches and envelops, it consumes their soul. That's why Smail's toast.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, what are they trying to tell us here?
I mean, I think
Okay.
that Mashadar would definitely kill a horse, right? Like, that's not necessarily in question. But for
Yeah, so my
sure,
question is,
but
why
for
did
sure,
it
so
only
we've
kill
seen one horse die and 3 horses are running, right?
Yeah.
Loose.
So Cloud is toast, and let's just say here we got Bella, we got one of the other unnamed horses, but I think that's also if we can you rewind a little bit because it's important here to see if that's a white horse, because Aldib was on the left side, right? So
Aldib was.
all we've established on the left side of that entrance is we had 4 horses. All we could see.
So there were 1
3
horse
were
down to
black,
start with.
3 were black, 1 was white, right? Here's a black
Yeah.
horse and it dies, and it's probably not Bella, but maybe it is. And then right here, you see okay.
3 black horses run away.
No, that one of them was a white horse.
That was the reflection.
No. The closest to frame.
Nope.
It was a reflection.
Nope.
Can you rewind a little bit? I'm pretty sure that was a white horse. And then get ready to pause. Here.
You're getting confused by the shit lighting.
That's a black horse.
Is that shit lighting or is
shit
that a
lighting?
black horse
Shit
right in front of
lighting.
me?
Shit lighting.
Yeah, it's a black horse.
Really? Because it looks really okay.
Nope. Look at
in fairness, they shined a giant like pale blue light on it.
All right. You know what?
Not on any of the other ones, of course, but
Alex, in this frame right here, I'm going to concede the point. Those are 3 black horses. So there is a white horse missing from being left of the
All
door
I'm going to
there.
say there, Dane, is that I can recognize a horse's ass, and that is not Aldib.
Yeah, you've killed us all. What I like to think about here is, okay, so we saw one get eaten, 3 ran off.
Yep.
So if we're doing our math correctly,
2 are still unaccounted for.
so the black one and the white one. So
Mandarb and Aldeeb.
Sure.
So why
Cloud is
didn't-
dead.
We'll give
Bella
them.
ran
We'll
off,
give them
and
the
2
benefit of the
unnamed
doubt.
horses.
We'll give them the
So why
benefit
did-
of the doubt and say that yes.
Yeah.
why
Matt-
didn't
Matt and
didn't the
Perrin
shadow
did not
eat any
have
of
named
them?
horses. Sorry?
why didn't the shadow eat the horses?
All right,
How did
let's
the horses?
Not the shadow.
Let's
It's
keep watching
Mashadar.
here.
It's
Where
not the
does-
same thing as the shadow?
How did the horses get free? Was that your question, Hannah?
Yeah.
That's
like, one-
actually a very good point.
They weren't hobbled.
They-
It's fine.
They got scared and they were able to pull away.
All right, let's keep playing here because I think we're gonna find the last horse that we were missing before, which is that Bella is inexplicably tied up on the other side from the other horses, right? So
No,
let's
she's
keep
gonna be on
going.
the same side.
So, okay.
I love
now
this
they're gonna-
split, by the way. So okay, they're gonna stand here.
Nope.
And
Okay,
then-
so Bella's not over there. Yeah, I have no idea
No.
how they find Bella over on the other. Okay. Yep.
There are 2
No, she's
missing
just gonna
horses.
teleport back to the left of the door, right where the other ones were.
Bella already abandoned them.
What in
She's
Light's
fuck-
name? And again, what in the Light's name?
Thank
the
you.
name-
What in the creator's name?
Thank you.
What in anything?
What in the name of the light?
Yep.
Yeah. So
Or
I like how
it's just a good opportunity for a blood and flame and blood and flame and ashes.
Bloody ashes. Blood and bloody ashes. What is this?
Mother's
Yeah,
milk in a
exactly.
cup.
That's
Right.
not until later.
I like how the shadow is clearly coming from the bottom. So like it's like a wave that's coming for them.
Yep.
So note what Perrin and Egwene do here, because it's really
Holding
important.
hands? Does she have a
Well-
knife in her hand? Maybe.
Are they holding hands?
Kind of.
Ooh.
Oh,
Oh.
and now
So
they
they-
got cut off.
Aaron and
Yes.
Manu- So they were on the other side together?
Yeah, so Perrin and Egwene are definitely about to get eaten on account of the fact that they are completely surrounded, because that's exactly where the door was where the shadow came from.
did they allow-
The door is to the
No,
left. The door is to the
door's
left
to
in
the
this
left.
shot.
No.
Yes, it is.
Nope,
Yep.
Go back and watch it.
Yep. Door is to the left.
Well, then
crap
in that
editing,
case,
but-
then in that case, then Rand and Perrin and Egwene flipped.
No.
Yes. So Egwene and Perrin flipped. They turned around in this scene.
No matter what, it was going so slow. They shouldn't have been split up like that.
Okay,
No.
so it's
Dun, dun, dun,
coming
dun, dun.
from
Yep, it's
the
coming.
left.
Yep, it's coming from. They're gonna
Towards
run
them.
out. They're gonna run out.
Yep, Rand's gonna go first.
Yep. And
She's
now
gonna get further
See?
than the
Yeah.
others.
and now Perrin's gonna do
You
like a
got-
little spin around her. He's gonna come around behind Egwene, probably check out her ass, and then you will see how he's standing there at the end.
You've got Rand furthest north, if we want to say top is north.
Yep.
Then you got Perrin, then you got Egwene. And as you see the shadow kind of, they're going to bridge the gap between the two and cut them off.
Yeah, and this
Yeah.
this scene
The shadow is
I think-
coming from
and
the
then-
south.
I think the
then Matt-
blocking in this scene makes sort of sense, except for the fact that Egwene and Perrin don't just walk towards Rand. Like, why would they see it closing in and decide to cut
Yeah.
themselves off? They had a
And
They
where
coulda
are
gone
the
either
other
way.
two horses? Where are Mandarb and Aldeeb? That's
Dead.
That's the critical issue.
Yeah.
See, he comes
So, I mean,
out, bam.
That's not where they were standing. Why did
So that's what I
Perrin
mean.
elect-
Perrin,
No,
Perrin like
Perrin did-
stepped away from Rand and like turned
More so-
Egwene. So Perrin and Egwene were holding hands. Left hand of Perrin, right hand of Egwene. He walked away from Rand, creating space with his competition, and Egwene got turned around while Perrin walked towards the bottom of the screen here. That's what
I have a
happened.
simpler explanation. What happened was Perrin's more of a pussy than Egwene, so he walked away from Mashadar more than Egwene did, and that's why the positions are kind of.
So
reversed.
Perrin is
Mashadar
smarter than
is on
Egwene.
the bottom.
to be split up with Daphne. I think that's what happened.
Yeah, Velma and Daphne split up.
All
right,
well,
let's keep going.
This is among the minor things. One thing I will
There we go.
point out-
There we go.
Look,
Aldeeb's
horses.
ass.
Oh,
Aldeeb's ass
Wait,
right there.
Here, it's Egwene that says, "I'll find you." Don't
Yeah.
worry, Rand. I'll find you. So
Yeah.
everyone knows who wears the frickin' pants in that Ross Rachel relationship. But good thing to note.
Just so you know,
Rand-
that shadow touched Rand's foot right there.
But Rand does have his bow and his quiver. He's got it. Anyway, this is stupid.
Why did they
And
do
now-
this instead of the fog?
Now, wait. Here.
Yeah, horse.
Right now, you've got land carrying Moraine out of it.
Yep.
And the two horses, Aldib and Mandarb, are inexplicably right there, where Cloud is turned into an ash pile and the other three horses ran away.
Yeah.
But just in time for these two to leave, the two horses show up again.
It's because Aldib's ass. I mean, it just Mashadar just couldn't, you know.
Rendezvous, had to get away from the kids, and yeah.
Mashadar is a horse soul. Oh my god.
Oh, what?
And it's not a fog, so it's not creepy. It's just like this.
Just bad
frickin'
CGI.
Put
Decide,
chase thing.
is it fast or is it slow? Like
Both.
It's as fast as it needs to be because it's not very fast at all. And then here we're gonna see like 3 shots, like right there. Aldib should have ate it.
Yep.
Which is fewer times than Rand and Matt have to eat it here, because.
Yep, they would have been caught for sure.
And it's not like doors.
Oh yeah, the shadow
slow them
can't go
down.
under doors.
Like.
I mean, the shadow does
Yeah,
follow him
there,
through
okay.
this door. It's just super slow to even get
Like,
there in the first place.
How many? It's like 20. Aldib is running 20 feet behind Mandarb and is still.
Okay,
able
here
to
you go.
basically get
Stop.
through.
So you saw like the entire freaking city was covered in this shadow there when they were on top of the walls, and then like cutscene back down to inside the city, and it's like, now there's plenty of space. They got time.
Yeah, but they're at opposite sides of the city now, obviously, and that explains why they all separate into 3 different biomes.
Yeah,
in the next
exactly.
episode.
Now it's super, super slow. He would be
Yeah,
dead.
That guy
He would
sounds
already
like
be dead.
Ron Weasley.
Plot armor.
Yep.
Hey, Rand used a sword.
And no, what's
As a
more
pry
important
bar.
there is they closed the fucking door on Mashadar, and it apparently did something. Like, what is wrong with these people?
Very polite.
No, and they slammed the door on the door in its face.
Keep
Rand is
going.
To do something.
On a door and on himself. Good job, Rand.
Oh god.
All right, Egwene. She's very concerned about what's happening here. They're both very concerned. And then cliff dive
They
time.
decide they're going to kill. They decide they're going to die together.
Well, Rand and Matt go through this tunnel. They kick through this, and they conveniently get all the time they need in order to escape. Here, too, you've got Mashadar slowing down. But this is the stupidest thing. Okay, so Rand and Matt escape. But this, right here, this is a suicidal jump.
It's just like Game of Thrones. Remember when Sansa jumped off the wall with Theon?
Yeah, but how high was that wall is the first thing, and the snowbank. And it wasn't Sansa who did that in the story. It was Jane Poole and Theon.
They're copying the show.
So
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
gonna
They
say
haven't even read the Wheel of Time. What makes you think they read Song of Ice and Fire?
Yeah, true enough.
I'm gonna
But
say you could
This is this is 150 feet. You would break your legs, if not die, jumping into water from this height.
Oh yeah,
You could do the physics on it.
and it's real
You
shallow.
would not survive this.
Yeah, 167 feet is the record. I actually looked it up.
I was gonna say if it's really 150 feet, yes. If it's like 100 feet, then no, that's survival.
You're just paralyzed by thoracic compression in most cases. Like either way, like
You're not
this is
walking in the
something
next
you-
episode. Either way, you're not walking in the next episode. That's the key message here. And there's no reason this needs to be in the show, right? You
No.
could get the same amount of tension from a 30-foot wall drop. You don't need to make it 150. You fucking hacks.
The depth that they plunge into the water here is just amazing.
That's
It's
the
like,
thing.
yeah.
That's what I was
legit
gonna
don't even
get.
know if-
2 feet from the riverbank is apparently like a 70-meter deep pool.
Well, no, I mean they don't even. I don't even know if Perrin's head goes fully under the water here. That's how not deep they go into this water.
Probably
Like,
pretty close to the
Play.
shore.
Let's watch how stupid it is.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I guess he does go underwater. Like it's not
okay.
a lot.
You know, I do like that. I hadn't really thought of it from that perspective. I mostly laughed like if you were jumping from that high, you would need super deep water to survive it. But you're right. They only go like a couple feet underwater. They clearly jumped off, like a regular diving board to get that shot.
They jumped off the side of the pool. Like,
Look how fucking close they are to the wall.
That's making its way down right at.
Perrin could reach his arm out and hit the wall of Shadar Logoth.
We already talked about the fact that physics doesn't happen in this show. Just consume the product, Dane. He jumped away from the wall, and then mass times acceleration. He never left the wall. That's how it works.
I had so many issues with the Count of Monte Cristo movie when they throw Dantes off Chateau d'If. And they turned that into a bit of a fight scene, but that was infinitely better done than this nonsense. And they didn't need to do it because in the books, again, this is the first time you get a Perrin point of view. It's creepy as hell and it's awesome. And
hey, look, I think that's the rock from the Wine Spring Inn again.
Oh, you're driving me nuts.
oh my god.
Might be my favorite reoccurring character.
Anyways, so
it's the one that they do the least damage to.
At least Wheel of Time is not like Star Wars where they don't have a sentient rock as an actual character.
Hey, that rock kills more Trollocs than Rand, Matt, and Perrin combined. So
That's true. But yeah, this scene killed all of my suspense for these two characters. Their plot armor is so thick that they're not gonna die ever. So
and it didn't need to be. All they had to do was make sure that Trump's wall was 150 feet high. That's the whole freaking point here.
Yeah.
But anyways, let's move on from this. Perrin and Egwene are obviously dead. Shadar Logoth is freaking oh my god! It's like they're in a fucking swimming pool.
Every time you say Shadar Logoth, I think of Shia LaBeouf.
Alex, can you go back half a second and let's just look at the ass crack of that wall? Because are they going through the same spot?
Yes. Yeah. They only CGI'd one crack in the wall.
No, okay. This one doesn't have the vertical chute going up to the ceiling.
Ugh.
I hate this. They're not even accelerating. Anyways,
like
poor physics. Unbelievable. And
gasping,
right up
swimming.
Here, you've got there. Look up the wall.
Yeah.
Is this either a separate location?
It's a separate. It's a separate location, or the wall healed itself.
And what do you think is most likely? That they decided to run Lan and Moraine through a separate location, or that they just messed up their CGI?
Ooh.
Tough question. Actually, I'm going to say, because this is actually a point here, is if Nynaeve was able to track them to where they entered the city, then I think it makes more sense that they exited the same place they came out.
It's the only way that Nynaeve would be able to track him. Yeah, I thought the same thing.
Also, remember the way that Lan and Moraine run away from their it's in the same direction that they came.
Right back into the Trolloc army, as you would.
Naturally.
In part, but they get their horses that are inexplicably not killed by Mashadar, and they go in the direction that they came. So it makes sense that, and maybe we'll have to double check as far as the trees maybe in the foreground here, because it's entirely possible that this frickin' CGI wall that we see in the background was added later.
I mean, I feel like some of those trees there's probably CGI, so I don't think it's worth even looking at.
Maybe, but this is part of the recap. Let's
I'm pretty sure what the intent
memory hole this in terms of the tree image, but yeah, I think this is meant to be they're coming out in the same area or the same location that they came in.
For people who are watching, you guys can post in the comments. Let us know whether or not it's the same tree.
Yeah.
I think their intent was that it's a different place, but like the CGI was still the same at like the bottom half. But I mean, it would make more sense for the Nynaeve thing for it to be the same place, but I just don't know how they would explain the wall healing
The
itself. like
Nynaeve
that.
thing makes no sense anyway.
The wall makes no sense anyways.
Logistically, it's broken. And even makes no sense. The wall makes no sense. The horse is surviving makes no sense. Lan is a character.
None of
there
this
are
makes
holes
any sense.
There are holes at the base of walls, not at the top of walls.
Wall or Nynaeve, which makes more sense.
I love that. Yeah, they're just going down. No Trollocs outside the city, obviously.
Well, that whole Trolloc army disappears, and people have pointed that out to ad nauseum. Like, it's a bit of a plot hole.
So is it just
it's
Mashadar
it's
can't
not in
go
the
over
books.
water? Is it like a vampire sort of thing here, running water? Is it like vampires and Trollocs fear running water more than anything else?
No, it's tied to the city itself. But yeah, the show doesn't explain any of it. And again, the show has got this being like it's a darkening rock and it's not a mist. And this seems to have a mind, whereas Mashadar was mindless.
Yes.
So.
Didn't Rand kick that grate off so they could get
I
out?
was just gonna think of the same thing here. It might be the top half of the grate, maybe, but yes, I think he kicked the grate off.
Listen, the wall can heal, so maybe the grate can heal.
I'm gonna say, are we sure that the city doesn't heal?
So the one thing when I was looking at this prior in preparation for this rewatch, I noted that Rand had his bow quiver.
Yep.
So he had his holster for his, and thankfully they actually had him walking around or running with his bow and his quiver. So this is as far as I'll defend this fucking show. Like, at least he ran out, and for the last like 5 fucking scenes, he had the quiver with his bow with him. So it's not inexplicably, oh, he gets out of the wall and he has that. But it is a bit jarring.
Although Matt is the one who actually has a bow and quiver in the books. Rand has his sword. Rand has his sword. Matt has the bow and the quiver, and then Perrin has the axe.
Yeah.
So Perrin doesn't have an axe. Rand has both bow and quiver and sword, and Matt has a dagger, which he gives to Perrin, and then happens to find another one 20 seconds later.
Which is pretty convenient.
What an awesome show this is, right?
Tiresome.
This show, it's not objectively bad. It's just your opinion, right?
Just your opinion, man. Come on. What even is object?
All right, let's stop looking at this god-awful, ridiculous scene here.
Next question. In this show, can people swim?
Well,
because they go for this log here.
What I want to know here...
I have no idea what they're doing.
Driftwood.
Not like Ray, who lives in a desert. They have rivers. They know how to swim.
Yeah, I mean, if you were gonna go across a big river, pulling a log to go with you, actually, that's probably an okay plan.
Or were you questioning why they know how to swim?
It's like, no, like, why did they do that? Like, are they going to sit on it and row it like a canoe? Like,
no. If you're gonna go across a truly large river, having something that floats to kind of hold on to as you kick across does prevent drowning. Like, that's
they're gonna reenact the Titanic.
Huck Finn, man.
You won't get towed down into an eddy or an undertow or anything like that.
But look at the width of this water that's about to happen here. Okay.
Neighing.
I love that the white horse just completely runs away.
And here we go.
Super awkward.
Here we go. This is about to be the friggin' most badass scene of the entire show here.
Where did Aldeep go in that shot? But whatever. Okay,
Don't worry about
here
it.
we got. All right.
The coast is like 7 feet from the wall.
Okay, can I just make a quick comment here? Can you pause? Let me make a quick comment here about female empowerment.
Hell yeah.
Okay? So, and this is
man, buckle up.
this is for Hannah. Okay, Hannah has only she read the Wheel of Time, where she started reading after the show came out, because she was convinced by a close relative, who happens to be our Alex Green, that the books weren't as shitty as this fucking show, and not only was Alex proven right, he was proven so right that she went on to read the next frickin' 13 books after this. But what happens in the books in this part in particular with Perrin and Egwene? And it all comes from Perrin's point of view. Perrin is the second POV character that you get in The Eye of the World. And he gets separated. He has his trials and tribulations escaping from Shadar Logoth. He makes it across the river. He loses his horse. It's shown that he is thoughtful and that he considers options through, and that other people perceive him as being slow because he's so thoughtful. But at the end of the chapter, Egwene is kicking his ass in terms of survivability. Egwene still has her horse. Egwene still has supplies. Egwene has started the fire. Egwene has dried out her clothes. Egwene is miles ahead of Perrin in terms of survivability, capability, and just presence and readiness for this adventure. We don't get any of that. If
No.
you wanted the best Egwene power moment from The Eye of the World, you would have had that scene. You would have had the separation of Egwene from everybody and Perrin in desperation stumbling upon her and then realizing everything that he'd been through. Egwene was that much farther ahead. This is getting back to this fake feminist show. If you wanted to show a strong female character, you would have given Egwene that moment and you robbed it of her.
I actually wanted to, because I don't think you guys picked up on that. Thank you very much, because like that's absolutely true. There was a couple moments earlier too, like when they're in that burrow after they just dealt with the fairy situation. It was like a stark contrast because the fairy was clearly the like Yas Queen Slay in the show, but in the book it was that moment afterwards when they all have to hide in that very small place and all the men are like hitting their head on the tall thing and Rand has to like fold himself over, but the women just kind of like walk in, they're comfortable in their hiding spot, they start making tea, they start having a discussion with each other. There are a bunch of little moments like that where like they emphasize the differences and the strengths and shortcomings of both throughout the entire book, and it's like very interesting because that kind of discussion, that kind of portrayal of differences in gender would never be allowed in modern literature. And so yeah, no, instead it's replaced with it's deleted and replaced with the shit that's going to come later, and the whole Moraine being a Yas queen and drowning the fairy and stuff. It's because like those moments did exist within the text itself, and it was very refreshing to see like an actual example like that. But no, not here in the show. Nothing like that for me here.
Yeah, and this, I guess, is where this all comes down to the fact that there are elements of the Wheel of Time that the showrunner and the writers find problematic,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not the male bigoted incel white cloak caricature that you have. They are just as anti-woman as they are anti-man because they are anti-gender.
Yeah.
I think this right here is actually sort of a fascinating thing that like Hollywood has done recently, where they have abused the quote unquote strong female character trope to such an extent that audiences almost just recoil at it, just any time they see it. And the common discussion point is Peter Jackson replacing Glorfindel with Arwen. That if that same movie had been released now, would audiences have rolled their eyes at it and talked about it being a ridiculous girl power moment, or would it be treated as sort of a logical um, way to streamline the story? And I find myself guilty of this because, Dane, if they had shown, the scene where, Perrin and Egwene had both sort of done the exact same thing, they'd both made the big jump or whatever, and Egwene was, all prim and proper with all of her horse and all of her supplies, and Perrin was half drowned and just looking like, he'd been through hell. I don't know about you. I probably would have rolled my eyes and just been like, of course Egwene is fine.
But that's just it there, Alex, is they didn't both jump off the same thing together. They reunited after Perrin crossed the river. They were cut off from each other.
Yeah, totally get what you're saying. But my point is, had this been done once, such that it wasn't beat into our heads, that moment could have been appreciated. But because it's
so what you're saying, if they followed the books more closely in this instance, would modern audiences have rolled their eyes, being like, "Oh, of course Egwene is right. We haven't seen her through Perrin's trials and tribulations, crossing the river, etc." And then he comes out, he's all nervous, and lo and behold, she's better off. Yeah, maybe. Except that this book came out in 88 or 89.
Yeah.
And it's established lore. So you're not contradicting what was already there. So anyone who says that that kind of scene of Perrin emerging upon Egwene and finding himself in a Yas Queen situation where Egwene is that much ahead of him, sorry, you could always fall back and say that was actually in the books. And that predated all the modern context of our current gender politics by 30 years, and that should be enough for any detractor anywhere and everywhere to basically wash their hands of it. That would be my answer. And
I completely agree.
I've said this over and over. There are so many great progressive elements in the Wheel of Time, from the fact that the Two Rivers becomes multicultural and it's viewed as a positive. There are so many things in this that are so great. You just need to give it the proper setup. The show gets in its own way. And you know what? I might not agree with all the progressive elements and the progressive politics of the original Wheel of Time. There's enough in this book series. I mean, it's 4.5 million fucking words, that there's enough for everybody in this. And I think everybody should go and read it. Everybody can find something that they identify with it. That's part of why this is so great. That's not the point. The point is, I want a faithful adaptation to what the man wrote. I want to see a faithful adaptation to his vision. And we are getting the opposite. We're getting the opposite of this.
Which was already there. We don't need to import our own modern wokeness because we've already got, the old kind of second wave feminist message of the original. We don't need to import the modern wokeness. It's already there. Let's preserve what's already there.
And you know what? Depending on your point of view, there's enough anti-feminism in Wheel of Time too. I mean, there are people who read Wheel of Time, and yes, there are a lot of strong female characters and strong feminist messages, but there are people who basically come out and it's online, they make arguments. Nynaeve, Elaine, Egwene, Moraine, all of them, they say they're horrible characters. They're sociopaths. The strongest argument can actually be made for Egwene. She is a legit, straight up sociopath.
Oh yeah.
She is not someone you want to have any power whatsoever.
Oh yeah.
So,
but just because she's a monster, I mean, she's not like a real good character. I feel like there's two Elaines in my life that I know that I would be like, yeah, they would take that path.
Elaine's better than Egwene. Like that's my point. But other things too, like the amount of dark friends that are infested in the White Tower. That at the end of the day, even though the WhiteCloaks were set up as the foil to the White Tower to get you on board with the Aes Sedai and not have you scrutinize them too much as a reader, there are all these things kind of set up. There's a lot of black and white, but there's a hell of a lot of gray in between. Again, it's 4.5 million words. It's the longest story ever written. There's enough for everybody. There's enough complexity. You don't need to simplify it or dumb it down for us. It's just give us the man's flaming vision. Don't insert your own bullshit into it. That's all I wanted, and that's the opposite of what we got.
So you consider Egwene worse than Elaine?
Yes.
That's fascinating to me. Okay. Just
by
virtue of what she's done, not by like the amount of enjoyment you get out of POV chapters.
So Maybe this is a bit of a side discussion,
That's
or
side
maybe we should
discussion. Yeah, we can carry on. Never mind. That was
do a
fascinating.
side video on it. But no,
Yeah.
Egwene is far more of a sociopath than Elaine is.
Yeah, that's why I enjoy her chapters more.
Yeah. Wait, what?
Yeah, I think that's the general consensus is that the Egwene's chapters are more enjoyable, but that's partially because Egwene is just a complete sociopath with no regard for anything other than human advancement and ambition. But
Yeah.
no, I think the main point that I was trying to make was that, audience tastes have changed a little bit, but
Oh, yeah.
also less is more when it comes to this sort of thing. Like, good grief, Eowyn had what, 3 scenes? Like, there weren't 40. She wasn't regularly embarrassing Aragorn or,
That
making.
too.
Yeah, that's sort of the point that I was making. But
I feel like if we had seen the boys really kind of come into their own, we could definitely also have seen that cool Egwene scene and been like, yeah, this makes sense. This all fits.
Instead, we get this nonsense.
This
All
is
right,
not...
where's Aldib? That's what I want to know. Aldib followed by
nowhere.
like 20 feet.
Nowhere.
yeah, you literally see Aldib just like completely fuck off way off camera in the first the first scene out of there. Like, apparently that horse was so done with Shadar Logoth, it took off.
It's
Can I just
Shadar
say-
Logoth in this show.
Shadurp Logoth.
Can I just say, WhiteCloaks podcast expectations, racism. WhiteCloaks podcast reality, horse watch. 24/7 vigilant horse watch.
It's pretty racist, though. We're
We
pretty
are
obsessed with horse
looking
races.
for the white horse, so definitely racist horse watch.
That is very true. We were very comfortable with the black horses dying or running off. We do only seem to care about.
Well, partly it's because it's the only differentiatable horse.
Horse.
They made all the black horses look the same. Those
Good
racists.
God. All right. Anybody a blacksmith? Anybody have pause it here. Has anybody seen Forged in Fire on the History Channel? Who the fuck makes a fucking sword like this?
Trollocs.
Look at look at the notches on
Isn't that supposed to be a Trolloc blade?
Maybe, but even the freaking forgers at Thakondar weren't that shitty.
Yeah.
There are blades that have this. It's called a knife breaker, and that the goal is to catch the blade in one of the notches.
But it's way
They're
more.
supposed
It's
to be
way
regular,
more.
and it's supposed to be deeper.
Yes, much deeper than that.
And that's what Julian Sandar actually
Julian
has.
Sandar, that's what I was going for.
Sandar, it's a cool knife.
It's a sword breaker. It exists. That's not a sword breaker. Even if that's a Trolloc sword, it's stupid, but whatever. Nynaeve decided she was going to bring it along, and she's able to sneak up on Lan with it, which is turbo retarded. Not the first turbo retarded thing in the show, but this pretty turbo retarded.
I guess I want to talk about the logistics of Nynaeve's travel here.
Okay,
because
this is a good point because let's just do a bit of a refresh in terms of how many nights have we seen, right? So there was the night of the fight at Emmons Field, and then in the early morning they all come, they ride out, and then by the second night, they're at Terrence Ferry, right? And then after Terrence Ferry, then we have the dreams. The next day we have them encountering the white.
I would only offer that they left on the evening, so the first night was Terran Ferry, and the second night.
No, they left on the morning. That was pretty damn clear. They left on the morning because they didn't show anything as far as a day passing for Rand to show up.
I think you're right. I was thinking of the books. The books they leave and they do sort of the midnight ride. But okay.
So in the show they're doing, and then so
I'm not sure why all the Trollocs are carrying torches as they come down from the mountain if they're daytime, but fine.
Who cares? But so you could see them from afar. But so after the dreams, then you have the whole encounter with the WhiteCloaks. After that ride, Lan gives the ring back. Then they camp out, which is where we started our rewatch here.
Yep.
And then it's basically then the fifth night here is Shadar Logoth. So Nynaeve got kidnapped by her braid by the Trolloc on night 1.
Yep.
And it's been 1, 2, 3. It's been 4 nights since, and Nynaeve is caught up. I think that's logistically where we're at.
I might even give them a pass and say they did have I suppose they had that. It wasn't really a time passage montage, was it? Where they're looking over the cliff at the sunset. My thing was more, if we're operating under the assumption that these folks are hauling ass, like there's an army of monsters after them, Nynaeve would have had to gotten free of her Trolloc. Then I'm assuming she went back to the village because there's no way that she would have known that these four, that Moraine took the 4 from the village without having gone back.
Plus, she changed costume.
Yeah, she changed costume. So she would have
had to check in with the council and the women's circle.
Which is the next thing. Is why is she even here?
She's going rogue.
All of their parents saw them leave. So it's not like in the books where their parents were like, "Yeah, go get these. Go get these kids."
Here's the funnier thing. What we got to check is, did she bring a fucking horse?
Did she bring? That's what I said. Did she bring a horse?
No.
Yeah, okay. Sorry if Hannah said this, but
also Terran Ferry is inoperable.
The Terran Ferry is inoperable. We don't know how she got across. Maybe she had a horse all the way there, but even then, that's 1 day out of the 3 that she has to catch up. But I don't recall seeing her on a horse.
Conservatively, she would have needed to be about 25 to 30% faster than our sort of main party.
Assuming that she has no issues tracking them. And there was one other issue here. What was it? I'm blanking on it.
She didn't know that they go north or south?
What does this say about Nynaeve's character? That she was like, yeah, I know the fucking Trollocs just attacked and wiped out the fucking village, and I know that I'm the only one with any medical training of any note, but you guys got this, right? I can just go fuck off and go chase these 4 down. I'll send somebody back when I ride through Terran Ferry. I'm sure there'll be somebody.
Congar, you got this, right? You know how to bandage wounds.
She did abandon her people. Wow. Fucking Zenbui, yeah, he knows what's up.
Zenbui's dead, although in this show he's known as annoying old man, and he's dead.
They killed Zenbui. That was like my favorite running gag. Was like anyone from the 2 Rivers is just like, all my homies hate Zenbui. That's sad.
Yeah, he was the old man that died in the first episode. He had to be punished for calling out Nynaeve in the original draft script.
This is seriously this was his credit. Like when the actor was cast, it was cast as Zenbui, and then when the credits rolled for the frickin' episode, it said annoying old man instead of Zenbui.
I'm very upset.
Yeah.
Very upset about that.
Hey, let's keep going. You're 100% right. The logistics here make no sense, especially when Nynaeve does not have a horse. And this is again, oh my god. This is also the opposite of what Nynaeve would actually do. I think this is where the episode ends. I'll slit your throat.
No.
I really
hate the editors, the Clarkson twins, not the writers, just the people who made it worse. We've made it through the second episode of this shit show. Do you guys have energy for doing the recap, or should we do that up for a later date? That's the whole episode. I know Alex has got a bunch of technical shit that we missed.
Yeah, let's go ahead and we'll close here, and we'll either come back together for a rewatch or the recap or not. And you guys watching this will know, since it'll either be posted on the channel or it won't.
Because of how drunk I get?
Potentially. We've done one rewatch with Dane being super drunk, and that went sideways quick.
We got bloopers though.
We did.
All right, great.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for
All right.
watching. Thank you guys for your participation. It sounds like Dane has something last to say.
I just want to thank Hannah for coming out and joining us for this. I think she added a new perspective. And again, this is kind of what we're trying to do. We're trying to rewatch the show with all the added benefit of having all the episodes out, having all the reviews out, involving the community, involving different perspectives. And I think she brought something unique and interesting to this, which is someone who didn't read the books until she was convinced that the books were fucking awesome and the show was garbage, and the books convinced her of that fact. So fantastic. Glad you came out for this, and I hope you had a lot of fun.
I did have a lot of fun, and thanks Dane and Pips. I'm not going to thank Alex because he has to deal with me no matter what. But yeah, thanks for valuing that different perspective and for being so welcoming and stuff.
It sounds like we're not bigots. Oh my gosh.
Shocking. Oh yeah, and that's the other thing I wanted to say is like, if there is somehow like a viewer here who isn't a Booksworn or who isn't a White Cloak already, like this is genuinely a very welcoming community. I know that a lot of people make it seem like, oh, these book purists are so hateful and they're so whatever, but like 99.999% of the time, if you find a guy who's like, I'm way into this thing, and you like ask them a question about how to get into it, they are thrilled to help you out with that. It's a very welcoming community. Everyone is like super sweet and super willing to answer questions and stuff, as long as you don't like come at them incorrect. Like, don't come at them like, okay, so y'all are sexist, racist. Like, if you just come in with an open heart, like, I'm interested in this form of media, there's a place for you. It's a very welcoming community.
Thanks,
oh man,
Hannah. I appreciate that.
I don't know how we can close it any better than that. Hannah, thank you, and everyone else, continue to watch out for content as we post it, and walk in the light.